Justice League was a movie that I did not hate per se. I thought it was a good time, nothing spectacular. With that being said, I do strongly believe there is a flawed mindset with the creatives and studio heads behind the DCEU, in that they are making the mistake of focusing too much on trying to create the right tone for their movies, instead of trying to create the right story. Also note that I have not watched Aquaman upon the making of this video, so my comments are largely a reflection of the DC universe pre-Aquaman, with the main focus being on Justice League and Batman vs. Superman. The first point I want to talk about is making a movie or its characters funnier or less serious or darker and grittier is not the solution to your writing problems. But if we go back and watch from Batman vs. Superman to Justice League, you can tell this is not what Warner Brothers thought. I imagine the problems in discussion during pre-production meetings of Justice League likely went something like this. Oh, we need more jokes. It needs to be funnier. It's too dark. Nobody likes a movie that's too dark. Their discussions revolved around very shallow issues. They're trying to fix the film tonally, when they should have focused on what a good story requires. Trying to superficially add humor to your movie and all of its characters will not make a movie better.
They have like a rhythm that I haven't quite been able to... Like brunch. Like, what is brunch?
The same thing goes for trying to superficially make a movie darker or more action-packed or teenage angsty, I don't know. Justice League really suffered because when they tried to shift the entire movie to become more upbeat, pretty much every character became one-dimensional. Ben Affleck's Batman is probably the most obvious example. He, among all the characters, probably has the worst sense of identity throughout the DCEU films. He flip-flops from being overly dark and gritty to light and fluffy.
Yeah. Something is definitely bleeding.
He never lands a unique sense of self because there is so much meddling with the tone of his character. And this comes to the point where his actions become exaggerated and unnecessary and really ingenuine, making the story even seem more ingenuine. We don't empathize with him, we don't understand him. He's a byproduct of the studio's mechanical attempts at fixing very shallow problems. You must focus at the heart of the character, understanding their desires, need for change, and weaknesses, and build a good story around those elements. Only then will the intended tone come out organically. Now that we've talked about character tone, I want to talk about tone in scenes and how to set up the tone and pay it off properly. To me, it seems like Justice League and especially Batman vs. Superman are movies where they try to write scenes or moments of spectacle first that they thought would be amazing, and then juggle them around into something resembling a story. What happens with this is that you can run into a few problems. For one, you can have unimportant scenes to the story that try too hard to build a certain emotion or tone, and it comes off unnecessary.
So where are the accidents?
Yeah, it's us.
Or you can have scenes that are important to the story, but the tone and emotion falls flat.
You're letting him kill Martha. Why did you say that name? Martha, why did you say that name?
This scene from Justice League is a good example of the first problem, in which the scene doesn't really do anything for the story, but for some reason, they put this emotional cover on it, like the audience is supposed to feel something is important even though it's not. So, the Flash and Cyborg are in the cemetery, and their intention is to dig up Superman's body because the League intends on reviving him. So they know they are going to find Superman's body here. We, as an audience, probably know that they are going to find a body in there. So when they hit the casket, they look shocked and scared, like it's supposed to be some intense moment in the film, but why? Is finding the casket not what they were expecting? This scene really did nothing. It didn't introduce anything new to the story. No new issues, no new twists. So why is the tone so dramatic? What would have warranted a reaction like this is if maybe Superman's body was missing, or if Superman blasted out of the grave and flew off. The tone did not match what the scene required and what the story required, because they were thinking tone first, story second. So for the second problem, you get big scenes of spectacle in the story that try their best to convey a certain emotion, but really just fall flat because the setup was empty. Maybe one of the best examples in this scene is from Batman vs. Superman.
You were never a god. You're letting him kill Martha. What does that mean? Why did you say that name?
Like, really? There is no reason why there should be a burst of emotion because the story didn't lend itself to making the name Martha an important point of tension in the film. You absolutely know the creators wanted to just make an awesome fight scene between Batman and Superman, and as they spent months writing and preparing for it, saying, this will be awesome and that will be awesome, they realized, oh shoot, how do we resolve this? Then last minute decide to throw in one little tiny threat that was never really significant to the audience to begin with, but somehow it brings Batman to his knees in an emotional climax. But the audience just finds this ridiculous. Like, you wanted to kill Superman so bad. His morals and actions are everything you stand against, and he stops you by saying one word. Superman should go into politics, Jesus. And this is because the focus was on creating a moment of spectacle for the audience without building the story elements to give it a proper resolution. Maybe the scene could have been fixed, maybe, if Superman had tried to understand more about Bruce's past during the film, and then at this crucial moment, use that knowledge to empathize with Bruce. He could have told him about how he lost his family too and his people, and how he and Batman are more the same than they are different. Instead of screaming Martha and saying, oh look, we have mothers with the same name.
Stop! Please, stop!
Why did you say that name?
It's his mother's name!
Thanks for watching, guys. Hey everyone, I've been wanting to do a video on the DCEU for a while now. After watching the past DC films, I've always had some hope that they would redeem themselves. It seems like they might be trending in the positive with this new Worlds of DC rebrand. Who knows? What are your thoughts on how DC should continue building their universe? Please remember to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.